Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel where I aim to remind you to live, to reflect Christ, to make his glory known as you are salt and light to the world. This is part 2 from yesterday. I touched on yesterday's video about the idea that salvation to Gentile is closing. That's why you see the rampant divide within Christianity itself, between black Israelites, white nationalism. Then on top of that, you see false gospels. You see the prosperity gospel flourishing. You see people suiting up teachers that says their lifestyle is okay. All of this coupled together is an insight to us that salvation is closing for the Gentiles, because the gospel in which we preach to them has become in essence foolishness. Jesus tells us, he says in scripture, he says the gospel for those who are perishing, it is foolishness. So the gospel in which we believe that Christ raised, he died and he rose on the third day, and likewise we, when we are absent from the body, we will be raised with him in his resurrection. To them, this sounds crazy. This sounds deranged to preach this type of gospel in our time today. Because why? The hearts of man is growing cold. And I want to draw your attention to the account of Noah. Noah kept preaching the gospel. But my friends, don't you know there was a time where the gospel was cut off from them? It was not continuing. It was not a continual thing. We have the impression that faith, the gospel, going to keep preaching to Gentiles. They're going to keep hearing. There is a cutoff time where God's going to say that is it. The remnant is in. The gospel ceased in Noah's account when Noah entered the ark. I want you to know all the believers that God already elect, when they receive the faith, the gospel will not be preached. There's a different type of form God's going to bring the Jews in. What that is, he has not revealed yet to me. But there's a way that God's going to reach the Jews, and that's going to close the ark. So let us be reminded that when you are preaching the gospel to people out there, that if they are not receptive, and if you see a majority of people are not receptive, this is the hour that God is beginning to close the ark. He's ready to close in the ark. So be mindful of that. Have a great day.